It's March the 10th, 2022, and our reading today in Nehemiah is in chapter 6. When word came to Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arab, and the rest of our enemies that I'd rebuilt the wall, and not a gap was left in it, though up to that time I'd not set the doors in the gates, Sanballat and Geshem sent me this message: "Come, let us meet together in one of the villages on the plain of Ono." But they were scheming to harm me, so I sent messengers to them with this reply: "I'm carrying on a great project and cannot go down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and go down to you?" 4 times they sent me the same message, and each time I gave them the same answer. Then the 5th time Sanballat sent his assistant to me with the same message, and in his hand was an unsealed letter in which was written, "It is reported among the nations, and Geshem says it is true, that you and the Jews are plotting to revolt, and therefore you are building the wall. Moreover, according to these reports, you're about to become their king, and have even appointed prophets to make this proclamation about you in Jerusalem: there's a king in Judah. Now this report will get back to the king. So come, let us confer together." I sent him the reply: "Nothing like what you are saying is happening. You're just making it up out of your head." They were all trying to frighten us, thinking their hands will get too weak for the work and it will not be completed. But I prayed, "Now strengthen my hands." One day I went to the house of Shemaiah, son of Delaiah, the son of Mehetabel, who was shut in at his home. He said, "Let us meet in the house of God inside the temple, and let us close the temple doors, because men are coming to kill you. By night they're coming to kill you." But I said, "Should a man like me run away? Or should one like me go into the temple to save his life? I will not go." I realized that God had not sent him, but that he prophesied against me because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. He'd been hired to intimidate me, so that I would commit a sin by doing this, and then they would give me a bad name to discredit me. Remember Tobiah and Sanballat, O my God, because of what they have done. Remember also the prophetess Noadiah and the rest of the prophets who've been trying to intimidate me. So the wall was completed on the 25th of Elul in 52 days. When all our enemies heard about this, all the surrounding nations were afraid and lost their self-confidence, because they realized that this work had been done with the help of our God. Also in those days, the nobles of Judah were sending many letters to Tobiah, and replies from Tobiah kept coming to them. The many in Judah were under oath to him, since he was son-in-law to Shechaniah, son of Arah, and his son Jehohanan had married the daughter of Meshullam, son of Berechiah. Moreover, they kept reporting to me his good deeds, and then telling him what I said, and Tobiah sent letters to intimidate me. Amen. Well, when we're doing God's work, it often feels like it's 1 step forward and 2 or 3 steps back, doesn't it? So after all the advances and achievements that we've seen thus far, verses 1 to 4, there's another wave of powerful opposition, again coming from the outside, although this time in a very subtle way. It comes as a sort of evil ecumenical movement. Verse 2, "Come, let us meet together." But Nehemiah understands, he's got the discernment to understand, but they were scheming to harm me. So he sends messengers again and again to say, "No, we're not going to have anything to do with you. We understand, I understand what you're about." And the answer is no. So the response to this wave of subtle infiltration, opposition, well, we need discernment, we need courage, and we need endurance. because this appeal, it's like a form of seduction, really. It's a bit like Joseph, with Mrs. Potiphar, who kept pursuing him day after day after day. Well, there are spiritual adulterers out there, false teachers, our enemies, who want us to all join together in some great big worldwide super church. And we have to say no. Verses 5 to 9, then another wave of opposition. This involves misrepresentation. That's there in verses 6 and 7. There's intimidation. That's there in verses 8 and 9. They're all trying to frighten us. And the answer to all of that, of course, end of verse 9, but I prayed. The power of prayer. Verses 10 to 13 now, another very subtle and seductive approach from a false prophet. You can look at the details there. And the answer again, verse 14, remember our enemies, O God. Defeat them, bring them down, bring them low, he prays. Well, verses 15 to 19, the work of God, the wall of the city of God is completed with the help of God. Despite all these different strategies, all these different waves from without coming in, one thing and another, one piling on top of another. But God is triumphant. And now it is the enemies of God, their enemies, our enemies, who will be intimidated ultimately, and who will be knocked back by the power of God. And yet, of course, the final section, even though there's this great breakthrough, this great achievement with the power of God, but they don't give up. They're temporarily stunned by all of that. But of course, they don't give up. Our enemies never will. And of course, we must never give up. But can you see, this is the shape of Christian experience. This is what it's like serving the Lord in this world. There's ups and there's downs. There's an ebb and there's a flow. What do we need? This chapter is so instructive. We need discernment. We need courage. We need to persevere. We need to pray. We need faith. We need, like Nehemiah, to actively step out in the battle. And this is the way of victory. As James says, chapter 4 and verse 7, submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you.